What's going on, guys? Welcome to mikeybalzz Fishing. Welcome to Lake Guntersville. I got a cool video planned for you. A lot of you guys in the channel have dropped in the comments, you're like, where's Salzy? Where's Ryan Salzman? And I'm like, you know what? That brings up a very good point. If there's one thing that I like doing is getting kind of a fishing forecast for like seasons moving forward. We're in winter. We're going to be in a winter bite for probably the next like 2 months, 3 months. So I figured it was a good time to kind of get with Ryan and talk to him about what's going on now, especially Lake Guntersville, the TVA, what kind of lures are going to be working, like looking ahead as well as working right now, and what kind of patterns play in, because all this stuff is kind of virginal for me. It's not my first year here, but it's my first year where I actually kind of have started getting a grasp of how the lakes lay out and kind of what the fish do. But you can always tweak that knowledge, and the best person to do that with is a guy wearing a floral hat, because you can relate to that, bro. You can relate to that. So that's Ryan. Bog loves Ryan, by the way. And we do have Bog with us today. Bog, what's up, man? We're gonna go catch some fish after this? Yes, we are. So stay tuned. I think you guys are going to enjoy this, especially if you like information, learning new techniques, lures that are working in different seasons. So come along with us. Winter fishing report with floral hat guy, Ryan Salzman. Oh, be quiet. Dude. So Ryan, first thing off, I'm gonna go through your accreditations. Ryan is he's a guide out here on Guntersville. So if you guys want to get a trip, if you don't want to just like hear him talk about it, you actually want to learn hands-on, hit this guy up. You can get him. What's your Instagram and all that kind of stuff?
So if you like memes in the morning, follow me on Instagram, ALBassGuide_meme lord. I also have fishing on there too. And then my website is alabamabassguide.com, and then Facebook is just Alabama Bass Guide. Check me out.
That's the other thing too that I want to throw at you. I don't want you to go watch all his videos right now, but Ryan is also working on a YouTube channel. He fishes so when I was hanging out with Jacob, I have problems with this. MLF Pro Circuit Best 5.
Yes, Big 5.
Whoa, you're fishing like a national tournament. He fishes the national tour with the MLF. MLF just bought it out, but he's a stick out there, dude. And it's cool to see somebody local competing at that level, and he's good people. And I always talk to you guys about like supporting not only regional, but good people that are out there, dude. And Ryan's on that. But back to his YouTube. He's putting up a bunch of videos. Some of those are going to be from the tour. Some of those are going to be guide trips. I've actually watched quite a few lately, and he had one from Wisconsin, which I thought was cool. And then he had one out on Pickwick. So go check him out. What's your YouTube channel?
Alabama Bass Guide.
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Unified.
So let's get to business here. Ryan, I got some questions for you, and I'd also like you to kind of give us like a fishing report for winter. You can see he's all bundled up, like, which represents the season. But one of the first questions that I have, and so Ryan just showed up. Dude, he's got a sick boat. He dropped his boat off at Freedom Marine to get like a, what do you call it, like an annual deal on his Mercury or whatever.
20 hours.
20 hours.
I just got it last week.
And he's which is making it perfect for the tour. But dude, he's got this sick Phoenix boat. So if you see it, you should like go over there and talk to him. But in any case, I was out here fishing a little bit, and I noticed there's still a lot of grass. So one of the questions that I have, being a Florida guy, I'm kind of leaning towards, I mean, you can see some right there. There's a big old like grass patch there. There's one right there. Well, and that's the trick. So there's structure, sandbar, and then there's grass, there's vegetation. At what point, or is there a point at which you stop like looking for grass or stop fishing the grass, or is there a type of grass that you still focus on? How's that work, dude, as we're going into winter?
So this is going to be kind of targeted for more beginner grass fishermen. So what I want you to think about is not think about the grass. What I want you to really think about is the contours, okay? So kind of ignore the grass, and the pattern within the grass fishing will emerge after you just put the time in and fish on good areas. Look at your CMAP on your Lowrance electronics, find those good contours, those creek channel swings, like up against flats, and all you really want to do is put your trolling motor down, pick a confidence bait, whether it be a chatterbait, a rattle trap, a true bass swim bait, anything you have confidence in, a jerkbait. All are great wintertime baits. A red square bill crankbait can do really well ticked over grass, but don't really think too much about the grass. Think about the locations where fish should be, because this lake has so much grass that it can really be overwhelming. And the best way that you're going to teach yourself what kind of grass they're holding in that week is to just put the trolling motor down and fish. So I think the best thing to do would probably be just to talk about the most effective baits to fish on these lakes in the springtime. They're going to be effective with or without grass.
That's a really interesting point, because actually, so I was out a little bit, like I mentioned before Ryan got here, and I caught like a 2 3/4, like a chunky largemouth, and I was focusing on a grass point. And then when I backed off and actually looked at my sea map, when I was actually idling to go pick up Ryan, I looked and there was a roadbed, like literally like 30 yards away, dude. That maybe made that edge hard or something like that. So that kind of gives us some I don't know, some framework for looking forward. Here's the other thing too that I get weird, and a lot of these are geared from like Florida questions, but we're out here right now. We're actually in Honeycomb. I'll be perfectly honest. We're out here in Honeycomb. The water right here is super like dingy, but if you go about 2 miles out, it's super clear. Do you focus on a certain kind of water quality in winter? Do you like something, or are you just open it? Once again, is it like if the structure's there, the bass will be there?
So this is a really cool insight. So then we'll take this up from 101. We'll call it 301. It's like even skipping 201. So on Lake Guntersville on the Tennessee River, watercolor change can actually be the structure that the fish relate to. If you think about it, that framework in your head. So when we get these rains, the reason that the back of Honeycomb has this dinge to it is because when all these farmers just plowed their fields in the fall, right? And then we got a real heavy rain. So all that runoff created a bunch of silt that got dumped in the lake. And even though we hadn't had rain in a few weeks, that silt from all those farms around the area are still kind of settling to the bottom. And what happens is if you find those edges where you have those mud lines in the springtime and in the winter, and you throw those red rattle traps, and it's really apparent when you pull it to a place and you see the wind blowing around a point, you are literally going to see mud and clear. And it is a textbook Guntersville, Pickwick, even Wheeler like pattern to catch fish in the wintertime. And my favorite go-to is a red rattle trap or a red crankbait.
That's so Florida, bro. Water mixes.
It's so cool.
That's so fun. And I'm gonna throw a little something in there that's kind of a side note. You can do that at the dam. Or around the dam. One of the best days that I first had when I got here was on Wilson, and I was fishing, yes, current, but that current created like a water mix, and it was dirty to clear, and dude, they were stacked. It was stupid. So let's get to another thing that I've been kind of curious about. Ryan actually owns True Bass swim baits. I think I got one rigged up right there with a little chartreuse tail and that. They're hollow body swim baits. But one thing that I wonder about, I got one.
A couple products there.
You got one right there.
Let's pull it out of the hat.
So the one thing that I wonder, and let's keep this lake focused. I know we can talk about the dam and it's a little bit different, but when I come out and throw a swim bait, or what I've learned about throwing a swim bait is pretty much like ledge season style. Like you find a bar and you see if they're up, are they on the bottom? You either tick the bottom or you ride the swim bait up or you stroke it up or something. But you're like super structure fishing, and usually it's like a half to a 1 ounce head, and you're fishing a pretty big swim bait too. When we're in this time of year, I've noticed these fish are kind of like mid depths a lot.
Correct.
Like, you know, like 6 to 12, or they'll move up super shallow, but then they'll back off. They're not usually as deep as they are ledge fishing. How do you present a swim bait, especially with like grass and stuff around? Like, what's a good one way, like one thing to throw it on, and what's a good size and weight to use to present that swim bait?
So I love that you asked this question, because it's like we're simpatico, Mikey. That is exactly what I was going to talk about. I brought the one size head, and this is a 1/2 ounce head, and my favorite bait. If I can give you one bait to catch numbers of fish and really big fish, is going to be the True Bass 5.5, married on a 1/2 ounce head. So with swim baits, the smaller bait you put on a 1/2 ounce head, the deeper it's going to run. The bigger the bait on a 1/2 ounce head, the shallower it's going to run. It all has to do with drag and lift, right? So this has more drag, it has more plastic drag in the water, which causes it, you're able to reel it slower. And that is important because when you're fishing grass in 4 to 12 feet of water, this is the perfect ratio of a weighted head and drag on a bait to effectively fish it over the grass. If I was going to throw a 4.5, I opt for the 1/4 ounce because it's the same fall rate, right? And you can retrieve at the same speed at the same depth. But on Guntersville, this is a snack to a Lake Guntersville bass. And dingy water, clear water, this is my go-to color. It's Citron. And I'm going to rig it up really quick for you guys. This is the True Lock swim bait head. It's the blue top. I like throwing it on the Citron, but I'll throw this on several other colors like True Blue. So it's got a hollow cavity. There's the nose. I'm going to go straight in. And in the winter, I got a lot of questions about this. Our baits are very durable. They'll catch 20 to 30 fish. on one swim bait. They're super durable plastic, but in the winter they get sticky. So when you're threading that on there, I'll actually wet the hook just like you would wet the line, and it threads on that hook. Look how much easier it just slid up. Threads on much easier. All right, so once that nose kind of curled up, I've rigged up a lot, so I know where to come out. But if this is your first time, rigging a swim bait, lay it over like that. See where I come out? And I've rigged so many, I know the look of the swim bait. Once that nose curls to about there, I just come out the back. But if this is your first time, do that, mark it. And you're gonna wanna come out the center of the back. I'm gonna make sure I get it perfect for you guys. All right, so there's a line there. Come out the center of the back, push it up to the screw lock. Do not shove it on there, you will ruin that swim bait. Pull to the left, push and twist a little bit, it's gonna start threading. Pull the tail in front of the hook, just like that, push and twist. Pull the tail in front of the hook, push and twist. And one last time. And so you're gonna see it starting to catch, right? It's like, oh, take it past to where it's catching, then bring it back. Now she's gonna be centered. Now, I actually have it rigged too far back. And the cool thing about them being so durable, I just put that hook inside that cavity of that hollow body. It's very user-friendly. And I'm gonna adjust that so that my swim bait is perfectly straight on that hook. Look at there. See how it's gonna lay perfectly straight when you reel it? This is what you want because it all affects the action. So I actually only had one swim bait in my favorite color because I'm almost out and I have to go back to my little home base to restock. I actually sat on this in the car and it warped the side of it. I don't care, they're still gonna bite it. But this is seriously my favorite color. If you guys want to catch fish all over the country even, I have reports that I'm sworn to secrecy on what lakes, but they catch them in different parts of the country, not just the Tennessee River. Check out the True Bass 5.5, put it on a 1/2 ounce head, slow roll it over the grass, and your setup for this, I like a Dobbin 744 Champion Extreme. That's
kind of a light rod. That's kind of cool.
But it's a light in the hand, but the power of that rod is amazing. I fell in love with that rod. We fished that Black Friday tournament and got second place in it, actually, on this bait. And I fought, I don't know, on almost 7-pounder on it and several other 4s that day and fell in love with it. The action of that thing loads perfectly. You want a parabolic bend in your swim bait rod. And I like a shorter rod, so a lot of you California dudes and even maybe Florida dudes, your big swim baits, you want it, they're like beefy rod, whatever, right? So when you're fishing grass, you want a rod that you can have responsive. So that shorter rod, 744 is a 7'4" rod. I can pop and twitch, right? If a longer rod, I can't snap it as quick. So with that 7'4", if I catch that grass, I can snap it just like I would a rattle trap, and I can work this a lot better through the grass. And the goal is to just free the grass off of that hook. And it's a win-win, so catching it in the grass, and when I snap it, clean it off, triggers a reaction strike, right? But the cool thing about swim baits, you also get hunger strikes. So when you're fishing grass with a swim bait, you generate hunger strikes and reaction strikes, which is why it's so effective on the Tennessee River. If you've never thrown swim baits and you want to get into it, just get you a pack of these and a pack of 5.5s or 4.5s. Throw it out there, 17 to 20 pound fluorocarbon, moderate reel speed. I throw a 6.2 to 1 Corrado, steady retrieve. Hits the water, start retrieving. You hit that, you start ticking that grass, snap your rod up, keep retrieving. Hits the grass, still on there, rip really hard, like you're ripping a trap. And all of a sudden you're gonna be toom, just like a trap bite. It is so cool when you snap a swim bait out of the grass and one smokes it like a trap. You might miss some, it's rare, but sometimes they'll hit it so hard they'll fold it up and catch a tail, but that is rare. Most of the time that happens when a smallmouth gets it because his mouth's so little and he does this. And you come back with that and you're like, man, you're supposed to be better at your job than that.
But it means you got a bite, though.
But it means you got a bite. You're doing the right thing.
All right, I'm gonna grill him for one more question, because this is one thing where I think I'm making a mistake, and I'm sure you guys were probably thinking about it too. He said right retrieval speed. Well, dude, for somebody like me that's like, okay, cast it. So can you, this is gonna be so dumb, but I think it's actually gonna work.
What?
Can you show me with your hand, like how fast you actually reel?
It's funny,
or
it's built into me. Just go. Just.
So it's just, it is a, like
it's
a
straight
steady.
moderate.
You're not going slow. You're
Everybody,
not going
this
fast.
is the mistake. They want to just do all kinds of crazy stuff with the swim bait. A swim bait is all about consistency for me. And then really, and then just because it is a grass lake, when I get it in that grass, I want to be able to snap it out.
Right.
And not all my bites come snapping it out. Most of my bites hits the water, crank, bam, and they just come up and smoke it. And knock 3 feet of slack in your line, and it's on, you know. And brings me to another thing, hook set. You want that parabolic rod, when they hit it, catch up to them and just sweep into them. You don't want to crack them. I saw, you know, I'm judgmental because I'm a swim bait nut, whatever. I watched a lot of Elite Series pros catching them on a swim bait this year on TV, setting the hook totally wrong and missing fish that they could have caught because they're when you get bit on a jig head swim bait, you do not want to crack them. You just want to reel into them and pull. With the exception of dam fishing, which that's a whole separate video. That is the one place that I will crack them. But that's smallmouth, that's current, it's not open water largemouth fishing.
Last question, because I had my last question, but since you're here, I'm gonna, prostitute you for a lot of questions. So the one thing I do wonder about winter, and the swim bait's soft plastic, obviously. It's a soft plastic lure. But we talked about structure fishing. Is there any time, and not talking about jig fishing on like the dam or something like that, or Ned fishing on the dam, but is there any time that like you'll back off a roadbed and throw even like a worm, like when the water's like in the like mid 40s, upper like mid 50s or something? Like, are there more finessey drag style presentations that you'll make in those low water temperatures?
100%. And this is the beauty of fishing, is there's a lot of effective techniques and they all work to some degree. And on any given day, one thing's gonna work better than the next. And you kind of got to figure out what you want to do that day or how you want to target the fish and learn that, and learn if it worked that day or if it didn't. But on Lake Guntersville, it has become kind of a tradition that people throw a Magnum trick worm on a shaky head. I think if there was one worm that I was gonna throw on road beds here, it probably would be that one. But I think a lot of fish don't see that 1/4 ounce Texas rig old monster presentation. So I think it's a great to think outside the box and try different things. But I also think you can go down a lot of wormholes if you're into tournament fishing that can distract you.
You just made a pun, bro.
I did?
Yeah, wormholes. You can go down.
Oh my gosh, I did!
Like, you can throw worms in that. It's not your go-to, and obviously he has a lot of experience, so I tend to lean towards experience. He says you can throw a worm, but in the end, if they're not biting that swim bait, if they're not biting that trap or that suspending jerk, your best thing is to man it. Because you mentioned this lake's so big,
yes,
and there's so many points, there's so much grass that if you do, and I do this, I'm like, they should be here. They should be here right now. And then, dude, my 47 rods that I got right here, I end up casting every single one of them 5 times, and 2 hours later, I haven't gotten a bite, and I've also not covered water. So just something to keep in mind. In winter, it's usually, the one thing I do know, it is usually more of a reaction or a horizontal bite. You stroke a trap in that, or maybe get them on a spoon, but like for the most part, they're gonna react to the bait, whether it's a reaction like you're ripping it out of the grass, or it's a reaction because they're hungry and they're coming to get it. So your best bet is throwing those horizontal presentations. But Ryan, thank you, bro.
Absolutely. I got a present for you.
What do you
since
got,
it's
dude?
Christmas.
Oh my God, I didn't bring you a present.
It's okay because you're
dude. I
Mikey
actually really
loves his
like
hats.
that, and it matches a pair of shoes that I got. Thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Got my true best. Now I got to throw swim baits too. Unbelievable, bro.
Hashtag sponsor.
No, we don't do that.
We don't
here.
do sponsors.
We don't do sponsors here, dude. We go buy a bunch of stuff from Tackle Warehouse and
That's
try
right.
it all out.
And you can find True Bass swim baits on Tackle Warehouse.
And speaking
Link
of that,
below.
I'll put links to all that stuff down in the description box. And actually, as long as we're talking about it, tell me one jerkbait, one trap that they need to look at Tackle Warehouse.
One jerkbait, most overlooked jerkbait that's been out for a few years, but they're rebranding it, is the dual hardcore jerkbait.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pull one out. Maybe Mike can roll some footage of it. It has got the sickest weight transfer system, and it might be the most responsive jerkbait I've ever thrown. Especially so responsive, meaning you don't have to snap the rod hard to make it dart. So you can just kind of twitch it, and its bait is extremely erratic, got amazing colors. Their Pro Blue is my favorite Pro Blue of any Pro Blues. And if you're not throwing Pro Blue, you're not jerking. So that's it.
That's what I got.
Oh my God, look. Pro Blue's on the deck. Mikey knows. He's in the game. Rattle trap, I'm going, if I can find them. The Excalibur's just not.
Yeah, the one knockers.
Just those traditional old school style. And then Hardcore actually makes a 5/8, which is great for the eelgrass.
Yeah.
Really tight wiggle. Just check out those line of baits if you've never checked them out. They're also available on Tackle Warehouse.
Funny story, real quick, as long as we're doing it, I'm gonna move his banana. That's a sad story right there.
Oh God.
It's a one knocker that it just got too old, bro. It got too old. But all right, so let's check this out. You're gonna pull out one of those duos real quick to show us.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
well, they make some cool sizes, man. And this is actually
that's bigger.
That's a 130. But look at the Pro Blue. It is so. It's a Japanese bait, and I'm gonna see if you can.
Sweet, dude.
You can hear it. The weight transfer. You hear that?
Oh yeah.
When you every time this thing goes tail into the wind, and I got beefy hooks on this thing because I've ripped this giant thing over the grass,
right?
And I catch bigs. This is the smaller size, and this is like the most common size. This is the 110. It's the hardcore minnow SP for suspending. And if you roll it in the light, you can see how it's got that iridescent in there.
Deal.
And as a guide, I play around. I got a lot of different jerk baits. This one's really effective on Guntersville. This is the Yozuri. It's just that sexy shad, translucent. If you see a trend in here, it's either translucents or purples. And the smallies really love these purple back chartreuse. That's the Table Rock shad version of theirs. I keep it real simple, man. But don't be afraid to go big. I mean, it's no smaller, no bigger than that 5.5. And I really like these bigger profiles if it's windy, kind of like today.
Yeah, like today.
You know, they're looking up. This is getting broke up by just light distortion, ripples in the water. And
I like that weight trend, because I was actually caught my 2 3/4 on a Vision 110, which is the jerkbait that I love. But you want to talk about a difficult thing to like throw in the wind, and it's just because it doesn't have the weight transfer on that. So that weight transfer is definitely something that I will look at. And Ryan is having a problem. Unbelievable.
This is how you do it. Look, I almost got it. All right, so I just had to get it out. If you want, this is the one I've been cracking them. I'm like, everyone's got their bait. Look how chewed up. Bro. Look at that.
Bro.
Oh my God.
Well, I know you just sold me one at Tackle Warehouse.
Dude, you hear it?
Yeah, no, I hear it, dude.
It's the weight, they're like 13 bucks, but for the money, it's its own. And the reason they're so responsive, look how narrow that bill is. Yeah. And if you you'll over jerk these baits. If you over jerk them, just like you'll notice the line will catch the hook will catch the line.
Right.
Because it's actually spinning around looking backwards.
Really?
So, another cool tip for jerking. So if you're long pausing, you know, in the winter I'm gonna go 3-5 seconds, I'm gonna jerk it down, 3-5 second pauses, long pauses. And if I feel like it move, it quiver, like you'll feel one ticket, like you come up and mouth it, I'll give it a hard snap, and just like a glide bait, it go funk. Or like he's jerking, look back at that fish, and dude, they cannot stand it. Just a hard snap. So that being said, learn the actions of your baits so you can learn how to manipulate that bait to trigger a strike once you've engaged with a fish. And you know what I'm talking about. You go, oh, one just slapped it, you're reeling a trap, you feel one hit it. One is engaging with it. He's in kill mode. You know, if any of my Marvel fans out there, Spider-Man, activate instant kill. Bass is activated instant kill, and you need to figure out how to get him to eat your bait.
I'm gonna admit I hate this video because it's gonna be like 20+ minutes long, and there's way too much information in it for me to digest. Yeah, we've gone full tactical bassing. Ryan, I really appreciate it though, dude. Like his insights have literally caught me more fish and bigger fish on Guntersville, and more important to me, it's about catching fish, but they've helped me to understand the lake and understand why I'm catching a fish and what's actually happening, and that means more to me than anything, because really I think we're all on kind of a hunt to like learn, understand what's happening, why it's happening, and then take advantage of those factors, understanding those factors, and put it kind of in our wheelhouse and go catch some bass. So I appreciate it. Check him out on YouTube if you want a guide trip and you want some fun, you want to have some laughs and catch some bass. This is your guy. But thank you guys for watching. Bog, are you getting rid of, there was a Guggen over there, there was a boat. Everybody say bye to Bog.
Follow me on TikTok too.
Don't follow him.
Follow me on TikTok. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be doing like,
dude, it's
at Ryan Sullivan.
As long as you're over 18, you can follow him on TikTok. Thank you guys. We're gonna go fishing with Ryan. Tight lines. We'll see you later. Oh, be quiet.